Syria, a country rich in history and culture, has endured a long series of brutal regimes that have left a lasting impact on its people. From the early years of independence to the present day, Syria has seen rulers who were not only despotic, but also notoriously violent, using oppression, fear, and cruelty to maintain their power. These rulers implemented policies of violence, repression, and brutality that affected generations. In this video, we explore the 8 most notorious rulers in Syrian history, from the colonial period to the modern day. Their leadership was marked by ruthless tactics, political purges, and wars that brought immense suffering to the Syrian people. Let's delve into the legacies of these tyrants who shaped Syria's turbulent past and its tragic present. Number 8. Ziad al-Hariri, 1970 to 1971. Ziad al-Hariri's time in power was brief but marked by significant political maneuvering. As a member of the corrective movement, which saw the rise of the al-Assad family, Ziad played a critical role in the transition from Syria's previous power structure to the al-Assad regime. His rise was part of a transitional phase following the Ba'ath Party's coup, and his eventual death in 1972 solidified Hafez al-Assad's path to absolute control. Ziad's rule was known for consolidating military power and bringing Syria closer to an authoritarian government under the Ba'ath Party. His brief tenure demonstrated the violent purges that marked the beginning of a more entrenched, centralized form of dictatorship under the al-Assad family. Though his reign was short, it set the stage for Syria's darker future under Hafez al-Assad. Number 7. Nazim al-Qudsi, 1961 to 1963. Nazim al-Qudsi's time as president came after Syria's split from the United Arab Republic, a union with Egypt. His leadership during this tumultuous period was marked by failure to stabilize the country, corruption, and political suppression. Al-Qudsi's government, unable to maintain a cohesive national identity after the separation, became embroiled in infighting, economic failure, and military coups. Although al-Qudsi tried to lead with a vision of stability, his inability to rein in dissent and his failure to restore order led to the downfall of his regime. His presidency ended when the Ba'ath Party led a coup in 1963, beginning a new chapter of military and authoritarian rule in Syria. Though he wasn't as violent as other figures, his inability to prevent bloodshed during Syria's early years of independence set the tone for the more oppressive regimes that followed. Number 6. Aidid Shishakli, 1953 to 1954. Aidid Shishakli, a Syrian army officer, seized power in 1949 through a military coup and briefly ruled as president. Known for his ruthless crackdown on political opposition, Shishakli implemented an authoritarian regime that ruled through fear and brutality. His reign was defined by political purges, executions, and the use of the military to crush any form of dissent. Shishakli's government was unpopular due to his repressive policies and failure to bring stability to Syria. His reign ended in 1954 when he was overthrown in another coup. Despite his short time in office, Shishakli's leadership was marked by his cruelty towards both political rivals and the Syrian people, contributing to the larger pattern of military dictatorships that would dominate Syria's political landscape. Number 5. Salah Jadid, 1966 to 1970. Salah Jadid's time as Syria's de facto leader was a period marked by revolutionary zeal and intense repression. As a leader of the Ba'ath Party and one of the key figures behind the 1966 coup, Jadid was responsible for implementing many of the socialist policies that reshaped the country. However, his administration was also characterized by brutal political purges, mass imprisonments, and the use of violence to quash opposition. Jadid's reign was marked by an attempt to reshape Syria's political and economic landscape through radical reforms, but his policies led to economic decline and social unrest. His reign was cut short by a coup led by Hafez al-Assad in 1970, marking the beginning of the Assad family's dominance. Jadid's leadership serves as an example of the brutal tactics used to suppress any form of opposition and to ensure the continued power of the military elite. Number 4. Hafez al-Assad, 1971 to 2000. Hafez al-Assad's name is synonymous with dictatorship and brutality in Syria. Coming to power in 1971 after a coup, Hafez ruled Syria with an iron fist for nearly 3 decades. His regime was marked by violence, political suppression, and the use of fear to maintain control over the population. One of the most notorious events of his rule was the Hama massacre of 1982, where an estimated 20,000 to 40,000 people were killed when the Syrian government cracked down on an Islamist uprising. Hafez al-Assad maintained his grip on power through the military, silencing opposition and fostering a culture of fear. His reign laid the foundation for his son, Bashar al-Assad, to continue the family's brutal rule. Hafez's legacy of cruelty, political repression, and disregard for human life would set the tone for Syria's political climate for generations. Number 3. Bashar al-Assad, 2000 present. Bashar al-Assad, the current president of Syria, has carried on the brutal legacy of his father, Hafez al-Assad. His reign has been marked by the Syrian civil war, which began in 2011, where Assad's government has been accused of committing war crimes, including the use of chemical weapons, torture, and extrajudicial killings. The conflict has resulted in hundreds of thousands of deaths and millions of displaced people. Assad's government has used military force to suppress peaceful protests, turning a simple uprising into one of the deadliest civil wars in modern history. Bashar's regime has also been involved in the destruction of entire neighborhoods, systematic torture, and the widespread displacement of Syrians. The international community has condemned Assad for his actions, but his family's grip on power remains strong, making him one of the most notorious and cruel rulers of modern Syria. Number 2. Ali Saleh al-Sadan, 1920 to 1925. During the French Mandate in Syria, Ali Saleh al-Sadan was a key figure in maintaining the French colonial rule. He played a pivotal role in quelling the Great Syrian Revolt, 1925 to 1927, a nationalist uprising against French colonial occupation. Al-Sadan used extreme violence and repression to suppress the revolt, leading to the mass killing, torture, and imprisonment of thousands of Syrians. Al-Sadan's actions during the French Mandate were seen as a betrayal of Syrian nationalism, and his involvement in maintaining French control over Syria made him a symbol of collaboration with colonial powers. His violent crackdown on the Syrian population helped prolong French rule and set the stage for decades of political instability and authoritarian rule in Syria. Number 1. Zaki al-Arsuzi, 1930s-1940s. Zaki al-Arsuzi is often regarded as one of the most cruel figures in Syrian history, particularly for his involvement in the early Ba'athist ideology. As a founding member of the Ba'ath Party, al-Arsuzi was a key figure in promoting the vision of a pan-Arab state that required severe repression of ethnic minorities, particularly Kurds and political dissenters. His political views led to widespread calls for political violence as a means of achieving unity and stability in the region. Al-Arsuzi's radical and violent approach to governance during the 1930s and 1940s laid the groundwork for the military coup that would eventually bring the Ba'ath Party to power in Syria. His call for a strict and authoritarian state, combined with his willingness to use violence to achieve political ends, marked him as one of the most cruel and influential figures in the early history of modern Syria. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to hit the like button and share your thoughts in the comments below. And for more deep dives into history, politics, and global events, make sure to subscribe to our channel so you never miss out on our latest content. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.